Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Car Reviews podcast. Before we jump into this week's cars, just a reminder that we also have the Collector Car Stories podcast, where we profile a car enthusiast, his or her car or cars, maybe a story or a fun tale about cars and the hobby that they like to tell. We always have some good ones, but we're looking for more. If you are interested in being featured as one of our guests on the Collector Car Stories podcast, please hit us up. There's a contact us page on the website, or you can contact us also by email, admin@CollectorCarCanada.CA. So on to this week's cars. No coincidence that I'm standing in front of a Porsche mural because we're offering two Porsches, not just two Porsches, but two 911s. Different eras, certainly. Porsche switched from air-cooled to water-cooled for the 911s. The first year water-cooled was 1998. So we've got one car from before that time and one car from after. First is lot 210. That's the newer of the two with the water-cooled engine. The first generation of water-cooled from the 996. This is the 996.2. So there was a reskinning of the 996 version of 911 in the 2002 model year. This car comes from that year. It's a Targa, so there are lots of coupes, lots of cabriolets, not as many Targas. And Porsche really went forward in the 90s, I guess, with the Targa roofs. Rather than manually removing the roof and stowing it in the storage area of the car, they went to power glass for panoramic roof. So this 2002 has a power operated glass Targa roof. It slides back into just four of the rear window. So it's just as easy to see out the rear. You're just looking through two panes of glass rather than one. Supplementing it is a power sunshade as well, because with the roof closed, it can get pretty hot underneath the glass on a hot day. So there's a sunshade there, and it's operated by power as well. There's a button in the console right beside the button to operate the roof. Enough about the roof. So yeah, this 996.2, as I say, it's after the reskinning. So more than just the cosmetics changed on this car for 02. The biggest change mechanically is an upgrade to a 3.6 liter engine from a 3.4, which produced out of the factory 320 horsepower compared to the 300, the normally aspirated 2001. Another interesting thing mechanically about this car, or important thing mechanically in this car, is the IMS bearing, which 996 and 997 followers will know about, has been addressed. Back in 06, the IMS was replaced by a later model IMS bearing, and that was done by Porsche itself. And more recently, during the current owner's tenure of ownership, that IMS bearing was modified to allow for even better oil flow, and this seller's shop confirmed that the bearing was upgraded to the 997 version back in the previous decade by Porsche itself. Lapis Blue is the name of the color on this car. It comes on a graphite gray leather interior, full leather in this car, so dash coverings and some of the door card material also in leather. It's a 6-speed manual car, so and this one's a 2-wheel drive. So again, the mechanical specs: 3.6 liter engine, 320 horsepower, 6-speed manual, sending all that power to the rear wheels. Find it as lot 210 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Also this week, an air-cooled car. So pre-98, when the switch went to water-cooled for the 911. This one's a 1979 Porsche 911SC. So this SC still has its original 3-liter engine, but it's been modified for increased output. There are a bunch of modifications on this car, which I'll get into, but speaking in general terms, it's a black car. It's got a sharp green stripe and some other green accents throughout, both in the engine, under the engine cover, and even the rear Coney shocks are the matching green. So yeah, it's got the Carrera stripe down the side. RSR style front bumper cover, and it's got a ducktail spoiler, which is a tribute, one could say, to the 1973 Carrera RS. If you are up for a little sticker shock, check the values of a 1973 Porsche 911 Carrera RS, and it explains why owners of other air-cooled 911s like putting the ducktail spoiler on their cars. So a couple other exterior features. This is an original slick top car, so no sunroof. Of course, it's got a rigid roof without losing any rigidity or worrying about body flex coming from a sunroof. And it's got the 15-inch Fuchs wheels. So really sharp looking car with the black centers of those Fuchs wheels with Porsche center caps, I might add. But they go well with, of course, the black paint. Originally a white car. We get into that in detail in the video and on our detailed listing for lot 211 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. On the inside, there's a modernized radio in there. There's a Momo steering wheel, 3-spoke with a yellow stripe at 12 o'clock. The original instrumentation's in place, but the tachometer has been rotated a bit so that the needle points upward when the car is at its maximum horsepower for our RPM range. The owning shop passes on that it's dynoed the car at 240 horsepower, so that's quite a surge from the original 180 that this 1979 SC came out of the factory with. All kinds of performance mods. Engine's been rebuilt and retuned. We get into that quite in detail in the detailed listing. There are also going to be some photos of the upgrade process for the engine. We'll add to those during the week. We didn't have those at the time of launch of the auction, but do watch for those. 5-speed manual car, as you might expect for a 79 air-cooled 911. It's got a racing spec clutch as well. And as I say, all kinds of performance upgrades. We itemize them in detail on our listing for lot 211. So again, 2 Porsches this week. 2002 Porsche 911 Targa with a 6-speed manual transmission, the 996 generation, 996.2, Lapis blue on graphite gray interior, so that's lot 210. And then we have the 1979 Porsche 911SC with a 5-speed manual. This SC still has its original powertrain in place, but the 3-liter engine original has been upgraded with the 5-speed manual, getting the power to the rear wheels on both these cars. Mileage reading on the 79 is under 90,000 kilometers. Originally a Japanese market car, which serves to explain how it might have low mileage like that. There's only so far one can drive in Japan. Look on the listing for the details of the importation and when that happened. And on the 02 Targa, it's just under 145,000 kilometers. So robust water-cooled 911 engine, the 3.6 liter. So it'll go to its new owner with under 145,000 kilometers. Lot 210 for the Targa, lot 211 for the slick top 79 air-cooled. Thanks for watching. Find them on CollectorCarCanada.CA, and we'll see you next time. I'm going to admire the Porsches on the poster behind me now. Have a great one. See you next time.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Car Reviews podcast here on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Don't forget, we also have the Collector Car Stories podcast, and every week we talk to an enthusiast about their car or an adventure they've had with a car, or just some fun stories about cars and the people who drive them. Right now, we have the first episode of following a couple of guys who did a road trip from Ancaster, Ontario, all the way up to the Arctic Ocean. So do take a look at that. Again, Collector Car Stories to supplement these Car Reviews podcasts. So today we have a 2002 Porsche 911 Targa. So this is the 996 series, and you see lots of cabriolets, you see lots of coupes. You don't see as many Targas. So we'll show you the Targa roof on this. It's a 6-speed manual. So I'm going to climb into it. We'll start it up, have a listen to the engine, have a little listen to the exhaust, and then take a closer look at it. So here we go. Porsche experts, Porsche followers will expect me to be starting the car with my left hand. Every 911 has the key on the left side for left-hand drive cars. And this is an old racing tradition where racers started outside of the car and they needed their right hand for the shifter. So it made more sense to start the car with their left. So away we go. I'll give it a crank. Let's listen to it start. So nice easy start. Make sure it's in neutral. I've got the handbrake engaged. So right to my left here, there are 3 releases. One is for the front trunk. One is for the hatch, so the rear glass goes up, which is a Targa only item, certainly on these 996s. And then the rear one, you'll hear a click. That's the engine cover. So here we are standing up at the cockpit, working our way back. I've already released that engine cover, as you saw. The rattle you hear is a cat that's just vibrating. I didn't even hear it when we went for our drive with the driving videos. So when the engine's warm, I don't think you hear it. Here's a good look at the 3.6 liter flat 6 engine, just like any 911. It's running a flat 6. And this is, as I say, a 3.6 liter, good for 320 horsepower. Now, the 2002 is the first year of the .2. So the 996.1 went from 98 to 01. And then the 996.2 was from 02, and in the case of the normally aspirated cars, to 04. The turbo lasted till 05. So let's get a look, listen to that engine, get close to the belts. And now we've got exhausts, dual exhausts on either side. We're going to listen to those. Okay, so working away from that exhaust. That's our look at the engine. I'm going to close the engine cover now. And Targa, you see lots of 996s, but not so many with the Targa. They're all labeled with this emblem on the engine cover. Just while I'm thinking of it, this spoiler is power operated, and if it's left alone, it comes up at 120 kilometers an hour. But if it's and comes down at when the car gets back down to 60, but it's also operable from the cabin. So there's a look at the power button where we operate it. So I'll give you a look at the car with it in I'll show you it operating, and we'll get a good look at the car with it up. So you see it coming up there. I don't think I need the engine running now, so I'm going to shut that off. So we'll do maybe we'll go around the car with the spoiler up to give you a sense of what that looks like. Certainly on our detailed listing for lot 210, you're going to see plenty of photos with the spoiler up and with the spoiler down. I haven't counted them up yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if we took 150 or 200 photos of this car. But just to give you a sense of the look with the spoiler up. And for the rest of the video, I'm going to shoot it with the spoiler down. So I need to turn that key to the on position to get it back, get some power to that spoiler. So I turn that to on without starting it. Back to this button down here. And I'll try and shoot the spoiler action as it's going down. So I can't really see it, but I think by now it's probably gone back down to rest. So, as I say, 996.2, 2002 Porsche 911 Targa with a 6-speed manual transmission. It's finished in Lappy blue with a gray leather interior. So here's another change for the 996.2. With the 996.1, they were more the headlights directly borrowed from the Porsche GT1 race car, whereas these headlights mimic the 996 turbos. So you'll see these headlights on turbos and 996.2. And then here is the Porsche badge. Another interesting thing about these headlights is they are distinguished from the Boxster of the day. So the 986 Boxster, which was the first generation of Boxster, they also had the headlights the same as the Porsche GT1 race car. So working our way around, we've got a Porsche set of OEM wheels. They're an 18-inch. In front, they are 225, the tires anyway, are 225/40 18, and they're a Continental Extreme Contact Y-rated, and you can see the date code there. These ones are 2020, manufactured right at the end of 2020. We've also got a sense of the mileage these tires have done on our detailed listing. And then going back to the rear, a matching OEM wheel, and it's 285 in the rear here. I think it's 285/30 18, if I can find that measurement. Here it is. Yeah, I got it right. 285/30 18 in the rear, 225/40 18 in the front. So I did have that right. So the wheels, I wish they were cleaner for our video. They're not that clean, but taking a close look at them, there's one wheel up here in the front right. So a matching set of OEM wheels. But this front right wheel, we've got some close-ups on the detailed listing. It does show some curb marks. The wheel over here on the front driver's side, I think is free of any marks. And then both of the rear wheels, they haven't hit the curbs, but there's some lamination peeling away from here. So they could probably be used to be recoated, I guess I'd say. They don't need refinishing. That front right one, I suppose if you wanted a perfect looking car, you want to refinish that. But again, same with this other rear wheel. There's a bit of delamination right on the edge of the wheels. So back to where we were at the front. Matching set of OEM mirrors in the color of the car. Here's a good look at the Targa roof. I'm not going to open it for the video, but we do have both photos and videos of it open and closed in our detailed listing for lot 210. As well, there's a sunshade in case you're worried about boiling or baking in those front seats. There's a sunshade to protect the occupants. Right now the sunshade is open, but the Targa glass roof is closed. It's a power mechanism to operate both the Targa roof and the sunshade, which is nice. One touch button in the center console there. But when it's open, this Targa roof slides underneath the rear glass here. So you can still see through the glass, no problem at all. You just have to be looking through two panes instead of one. And while I'm thinking of it, this is one of the very few 911s where the rear glass opens. So there's a button here, the cockpit. In error, I first opened the engine cover, so I'm going to close that, and it's closed. And then this rear glass will open up, making it just a little more usable. Certainly, we've got the front seats in place for passengers, but with those front seats stowed, you can even get a couple of sets of golf clubs. You can't get your whole foursome and their clubs in, but if you're willing to meet two people and their clubs at the course, this will do for two golfers and two sets of clubs. So that's got a power closing mechanism. I probably slammed it a little hard there. I didn't need to do that because the car itself makes sure the glass is shut. So I was taking a good look at the gaps earlier on this car. Our detailed listing shows them. I see a nice consistent gap all the way around, even at the opening for the spoiler here. So that was nice to see. These tail lights have not been updated from the 996.1. So It's tough to figure a 996.1 Coupe or Cabriolet from a 996.2 Coupe or Cabriolet. Third brake light and a rear wiper on the Targa as well. Working our way I showed you the pipes, I guess, when we were listening to them, but there's another good look at those aluminum tipped exits. Lapis blue, again, is the Porsche color for this car. And as we work our way forward, Porsche aficionados will probably know that the fuel goes in the front, different from the engine in the rear. Sort of the opposite. It's just like a front engine car. Usually the fuel tank's in the rear. But yeah, in this car, the fuel tank is in the front. There's a parking light with the clear lens. Again, the 996 turbo look headlight. And there is a tiny bit of stone chipping, I guess, if I look really closely at the front end of this car. But really, a pretty clean look. Pretty clean look to this car. So as we go over, we'll take a look at the inside of the car. Again, lot 210 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. You see this in Porsches. It's a good use of space. There's a little pocket for storage there in the door, and you see one on the other side as well. I like the door sill labeled in Targa. And here are the three buttons I was talking about. Release the front trunk, release the rear glass, and release the engine cover. And then we've got seat memory on this car as well. So you set that with those buttons. Since we did our photos, we popped this winter mat back in. So it's not the most presentable, easily cleaned, but the two front winter mats do stay with the car. The car has not been driven in the winter, but in case you're worried about protecting your carpets, the mats are available. So again, I was talking about that spoiler button. It's here. And then this item here, that's to release the front trunk in case of a battery failure, because the battery's up there and it's a motorized opening. So that's your fail safe in case you have no battery and you got to get back at that front trunk. So climbing into the cockpit here, you can see the odometer under 145,000 kilometers. So this one's going to its new owner at under 145. Nice instrumentation. And we see the measure on the analog speedometer is miles per hour. So it's important to note that this car is a US market car, but you can see the digital speedometer down below in orange, and that has a kilometers per hour reading. So no real problem to drive this car in Canada given that, even though the speedometer analog is in miles, you've got your kilometers an hour reading right there. Up here, those two knobs. On the left is to reset your trip odometer. On the right is to set the clock, which is an ingeniously simple way to set a clock for a car. You can see the digital clock. I'd say it's working. My watch says 2:05 right now, so I think the owner of this car just likes to be early for everything. Fuel gauge, water temperature gauge, and then oil pressure measured in bar, like most German cars. So the central tach, of course. Then over to the left, there's also a voltmeter. So moving forward here, so to the center stack, this car has factory navigation. It's an O2, so navigation is a big technological breakthrough. But as you see down here, it's run with CDs or DVDs. So you need the DVDs. You need to load the DVD for your destination. There's even a tape deck here. I'll try to remember it when I show you the front trunk, but there's also a 6-disc Porsche CD changer. Over here is the automatic climate control. We gave the AC a little run earlier. It was blowing cold. And then at the bottom, these buttons, we've got heated seats on either end. And in the center are the two for the Targa roof. So on the left is for the glass itself, and on the right is for the sunshade. Again, you can take a look at those in action on our detailed listing, both with still photos as well as videos showing them actually in motion. And we've got a glove box. That's another difference from a 996.1. The 996.2s are equipped with a glove box. In the .1, there was a little shelf under here where the owner's manual would be stowed. And then another look at the passenger door. You can see an airbag badge on the bottom right of the screen right now in chrome. There's also that storage area for passenger side. And I didn't realize this until we're shooting the video, but this car is equipped with full leather. So leather dash cover, leather on the door cards here as well, in addition to the gray leather seats. So a nice touch. I'll show you that seat. This is just a little cushion for when a smaller in stature person is riding in the front. So climbing out, we'll take a quick look at the rear seat. Now, when people ask me about these cars we have on auction, I often like to tell them the lowest common denominator, I'll call it. So the weakest point for the car. I think the weakest point for this car is there some splits in the seam there on that rear seat. It's kind of a messy floor mat down there, but that's easily remedied. But I would suggest, though, that if I were buying this car, I'm probably not going to be putting too many rear passengers in it. And I would just keep the seat folded down, probably. Now, I've got the front seat pushed back all the way for myself. But the rear seats are usable for smaller in stature persons, as well as in a pinch, you can put an adult back there. But yeah, there's a look at the speaker in the rear. Again, the original Porsche head unit is in place, supplemented by that navigation. And like I was showing when the rear glass was open, that parcel shelf is covered in the same carpet as the rest of the interior. Now, you'll hear a click right now. I'll show you a bit of the front trunk. I do happen to know the owner's got a lot of personal effects up there, so I might not show you the whole thing, just for discretion's sake. But opening this front trunk is a lot like opening the hood of a front-engine car. Car isn't being used much by the owner. He estimates he's driven it maybe 1,000 kilometers this year. So he's got his trickle charger connected. So when he gets home, he just clicks it, or sort of plugs it in, and away he goes. Nothing too incriminating there. You can see that the front trunk is very deep, if not a deep sort of in height, if not deep in terms of width. This here is a spare tire. You don't need a compressor for this tire. It is inflated, if though it's very narrow. That's for short trips only, certainly. And then under here, where you see that trickle charger cable heading, as you might guess, is the battery. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to release that with one hand, but I'll show you the side of it. I know there's a Napa Legend battery in place in this car. So there's a look at the battery. So, yeah. Good look at the front trunk. Oh, I think at the bottom of this is the tool roll for the car. So I wanted to show you that as well. Tools for the car. For changing a spare, as well as a tool in there as well. So yeah, I'll take another walk around it. But that gives you a good look at this 2002 Porsche 911 Targa 6-speed manual. And it's a 911 in the 996 series. This car was here where we are today before our Cars and Coffee event. So there's his dash card. We had a good time with that today. Working our way around, I noticed also that all of the glass is labeled Secure It, which tells me it's likely the original glass, but if any glass has been replaced, it's been replaced with the OEM Secure It. There's even a Secure It logo here. I don't know if the video picks it up, but we do have a photo of it as well. But on the exterior, pretty nice clean car here in the lapis blue metallic over the gray full leather. So I'll wrap up this part and I'll jump back into the driver's seat and we'll have a few concluding thoughts. All right, so welcome back. I figure while I'm sitting here, I can give you a demo of the Targa roof opening. Now, I doubt you're going to see the actual glass moving, but you can probably see that the lighting, certainly where I'm sitting, has changed. So, works beautifully. I'm going to turn that ignition key off so as not to drain the battery. But yeah, just in conclusion, we've got a 2002 Porsche 911 Targa with a 6-speed manual. It's under 145,000 kilometers as lot 210 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Please take a look at our detailed listing where you'll find paragraph form description. You'll find this podcast video as well, the car review, as well as other videos demonstrating the car and a whole host of photos. I haven't counted them up, but I'd be surprised if it's not 200 photos. And of course, we've got a Carfax for your peace of mind as well. U.S. car, under 145,000 kilometers, not miles. Again, CollectorCarCanada.CA, lot 210. Please check it out, and good luck. Thanks for watching. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another car here on the Car Reviews podcast with CollectorCarCanada.CA. Before we dive into this 79 modified Porsche 911SC Coupe, I wanted to let you know that the secret is out. The Collector Car Stories podcast is live. We do one of those weekly. We talk to an enthusiast about his or her car, some of their car adventures, just car stories that are fun and we thought you might like. We're also willing to listen to you. If you have something that you think our audience might be interested in, contact us at admin@collectorcarcanada.ca or use the contact us page on our website, collectorcarcanada.ca. Let us know what you'd like to talk about or what you'd like to show off in a Collector Car Stories about you. So today, 1979 Porsche 911 SC. It's a coupe with a 5-speed manual transmission, and it's been modified. It's lot 211 on CollectorCarCanada.ca. So this car is black on black, not an original black car. I'll get into that in a minute. But it's got a green Carrera stripe down each side, and the odometer shows under 90,000 kilometers. So there are a few tributes on this car, notably the ducktail spoiler on the rear, which is a tribute to the 1973 Carrera RS. As Porsche aficionados will know, the ducktail spoiler only appeared on 1 year only for the air-cooled 911s. There are green accents in the engine compartment to match that stripe down the side. There are even green Coney shocks in the rear to continue along with that theme. This is a Japanese market car, so it was imported into Canada in 2007 after spending its first 28 years in Japan. It had fair weather use only for its first 10 years in Canada. Fair weather use only in Canada, but 10 years after it came, it was picked up by a Euro specialist shop and has been owned by that shop since 2017. As you might have guessed, that Euro specialist shop has rebuilt the engine and upgraded the original 3-liter engine. You'll see the car comes with a smart set of Fuchs wheels. So those are, I think, the original size, 15 by 8 in the rear, 15 by 7 in the front. This car on the exterior, a few features. It's a slick top, so that is car guy speak for no sunroof. Originally a white car, so it was refinished by a prior owner. When the current owner bought it, it was black. And we suspect that the repaint was a down to the wood, so to speak, job. Just because we see the paint meter readings, the thickness of the paint is pretty close to factory spec. So we've got those paint meter readings in the gallery of our listing. So please do take a look at those. And it's got Euro spec H4 headlights. On the inside, the front 2 buckets are by Recaro. So the original seats are out. They've got the sporty Recaro seats. There's a Momo steering wheel in place with a yellow stripe at 12 o'clock. VDO instrumentation, which would have been factory. The tack, however, has been tilted so that the needle is vertical when maximum horsepower RPM is reached. The door cards are in the RS style. The Club Sport set of Porsche will also recognize. So no real door handles, just canvas pulls, just a minimalist look and function to save on weight. There are power windows though, a set of Carrera mats, climate control, and a good audio system. So getting back to that engine rebuild, the engine work, this occurred 3,000 kilometers ago by the shop that owns the car now. New at the time crankshaft, connecting rods and bearings were installed. The original heads were rebuilt. JE race pistons were installed. Cylinders were coated in Nicosil. The engine crank and cam sensors are by Cluet. And there's a set of coils in place of the original distributor, so that ignition system certainly has been updated. And the owner, his best estimate, there are about 3,500 kilometers on the engine since the rebuild. The original catalytic converter is not installed, but it is included with the deal. And the gearbox, as Porsche people might expect, it's a 5-speed 915 transmission. And that's operated with a racing spec clutch. So please do take a look at our detailed listing. On it, you'll find, of course, a paragraph form listing. We've got up over 100 photos of the car. Usually for a car like this, we'd have more than that. But the videos for this car are so detailed that they kind of make some other photos redundant. So have a good look at our videos as well. They're really, really good description of the car in video form. Lot 211 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Again, it's a 1979 Porsche 911SC Coupe with a 5-speed manual showing under 90,000 kilometers on the odometer. Good luck to those interested, and thank you for watching.